It began with a road sign, a simple white reflective board that stood just outside the town limits. Every morning, it read the same thing: "Welcome to Dunridge." But at night, the letters changed. Drivers would slow down when their headlights hit it, swear they'd seen something else, words rearranged, new directions, sometimes even their own names. By sunrise, it was normal again. At first, people laughed it off. A prank, maybe. A clever trick with mirrors, or some kind of special paint. But the explanations grew thin, especially after a long-haul truck driver, new to the route, decided to follow where the new sign pointed one moonless night and was never seen again. His rig was found a week later, parked neatly on the shoulder of a road that didn't exist, keys still in the ignition. Dunridge was one of those quiet, forgettable towns off Highway 9, tucked between two lazy rivers and a stretch of dense forest that always smelled of rain and damp earth. It was a place where locals knew everyone by name, and the only truly unusual thing was an unspoken rule. Nobody ever left town after dark. The sign itself had been there for decades. The paint was faded, chipped in places. It sported a couple of rust-colored bullet holes from some long-forgotten joyride, nothing remarkable. But around the spring of 1994, people started noticing the changes. A young teacher named Carolyn East was the first to mention it on the local radio station. She was driving home late from a school fundraiser, her headlights cutting through the thick evening fog. Instead of "Welcome to Dunridge," her lights illuminated a stark, two-word command: "Turn back." She chuckled, thinking it was just a clever prank by some of her students. She even joked about it in her class the next morning. But by the end of the week, half the town had driven out to see it for themselves, hoping to catch the pranksters in the act. They never did. And that's when the pattern began to emerge. Every night, without fail, sometime after midnight, the words on the sign would change. The transformations were subtle at first, a letter slightly askew, a word misspelled. Then they grew impossible to ignore. Sometimes the sign offered warnings, like "I see ye ahead" on a perfectly clear night. Sometimes it gave bizarre directions to places that didn't exist. And sometimes it displayed names of people who hadn't been seen in days. The sign wasn't a prank. It was a bulletin board for the missing. The town's sheriff, a practical man named Henderson, had enough. He ordered the sign removed. 2 deputies with a post-hole digger and a flatbed truck went out, dug the entire thing up post, concrete, and all, and hauled it back to a locked storage shed behind the county office. The town breathed a collective sigh of relief. But the next morning, it was back, in the exact same spot. Not a fresh hole in the ground, but rooted in the earth as if it had never been moved. The post was perfectly straight. The sign was clean, the white paint gleaming in the sunrise. By then, Dunridge had split in 2. There were those who feared the sign, who boarded their windows at night and refused to drive that stretch of highway at all. And then there were those who believed it was a message, a guide, something sent to help them. A group of local teenagers, armed with a new camcorder and a thirst for adventure, decided to document it. They set up a tripod every evening, pointing the camera at the sign and letting it record through the night. The footage they captured was deeply unsettling. The letters didn't change in real time. You couldn't see them morph or twist. Instead, they shifted in the split second the camera blinked, or when a car's headlights momentarily washed out the frame. It was as if the paint itself was sentient, rearranging its molecules only when it knew no one was watching. On the 7th night of their vigil, one of the kids, a quiet boy named Evan Mills, didn't come home. His friends panicked. They rewound the tape from that night. The last frame recorded before the battery died showed the sign glowing with a faint internal light. The letters spelled out a simple, chilling invitation. Follow me. The road it pointed to led nowhere. It was an old logging trail, fenced off for decades, now completely overgrown with thorny vines and thick brush. But Evan's bicycle was found there, leaning against the rusty fence. The chain was snapped clean in two, as if by an incredible force. There were no footprints, no tire tracks in the mud beyond the fence, no sound of a struggle, no trace of Evan. And from that night on, the sign grew restless. It no longer waited for midnight. The letters started changing every hour, as if it was growing impatient. The story eventually reached the outside world, and a journalist from Seattle, Thomas Gray, arrived to cover it for a paranormal column he wrote. He was a skeptic, but a curious one. He called his developing story The Road Sign That Writes Back. Thomas checked into a small, roadside motel near the highway, the kind with a buzzing neon sign and worn-out carpets. For 2 nights, he did what any good journalist would. He took photos from every angle. He recorded hours of video. He even tried to measure the reflective properties of the paint. Everything seemed completely normal. The sign was just a sign. But on the 3rd night, it happened. He was standing by his car, about 50 yards away, watching it through his binoculars. And the sign changed right before his eyes. He described it later in the frantic, hurried notes found on his motel nightstand. The words bent, as if the air between me and the sign folded in on itself, like a heat haze, but cold. And for just a moment, I saw something standing behind it, a shape, a silhouette, right where my own reflection in the sign should have been. The next morning, Thomas Gray checked out of the motel. He told the woman at the front desk he was heading back to Seattle to file his report. He never made it. His car was found abandoned 15 miles north of Dunridge, facing the wrong direction, back toward the town. The driver's door was wide open. Inside, his microcassette recorder was still on the passenger seat, its tape still running, playing a loop of faint static. And his last recorded words. His voice was low, filled with a terrifying sense of discovery. It's not showing where to go. It's showing where you've already been. After that, no one dared to approach the sign. The town gave up. They quietly, unofficially, rerouted traffic. The county put up new signs a mile back, guiding cars down a different road, letting the old highway fall into disuse. They cut off the road to the sign entirely. They tried to make it disappear by simply ignoring it. But even now, they say on foggy nights, truckers driving the new highway sometimes catch a glimpse of it through the trees. A faint, white glow at the edge of the forest. The letters still shifting, one line at a time, writing messages for an audience that is no longer there. Today, Dunridge doesn't appear on most modern maps. The new highway 9 curves sharply away, long before you get anywhere near the original route. But if you know where to look, if you find that forgotten stretch of asphalt, cracked and overrun with weeds, and if you drive it alone, especially near midnight, you might just see a reflection catch in your headlights, a single white sign, the paint impossibly clean, almost new. And depending on the night, it will say something different. Sometimes, "Welcome to Dunridge." Sometimes, "Turn back." And sometimes, if you're not lucky, it will write your name. So if you ever find yourself on an empty road and you see a sign that seems to move when you blink, don't stop. Don't get out of the car to look closer. And whatever you do, don't follow where it points. Because the next morning, it might be your road it remembers. The roads still whisper. The lights still guide. But not every sign shows the way forward. Some just want to bring you back. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more Tales from the Shadows. Stay safe out there.